Portia again from Pickathon 2017, and I'm here with MC Taylor of Hiss Golden Messenger. So you've been doing this for quite a long time, and now you're signed to Merge Records.
Right.
So when you got started yourself, who was doing your business? Was it pretty much you?
Well, I've had a few different starts to my. I've had a few different starts to my, whatever you want to call it, my career.
Let's call it a career.
Okay, we'll call it a career.
Yeah.
I started when I was like 17. I bought like my first tour van, which I feel like was a good marker of me doing this. I had a band, and we bought a van, and we were all like 17, 18 years old.
That's awesome.
So that was the start, but we never for a moment thought of the business side of it. Although we were putting records out with a record label at that point, but I don't know, it never occurred to us, ever. Yeah. It wouldn't occur to me for another, like, at least 10 years to think about the business side of things. And then I was in another band all through my 20s, into my early 30s, and we still never thought about the business side of it. And we didn't make any money. So it wasn't until recently, like in the past 5 or 10 years, that I really started looking at that.
And what drove you to actually pay attention to the business?
I think there was enough money around that it seemed like if I paid attention to it, I could make it go a little further.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also it got to the point where I was getting busy enough that dealing with the business side of that, and that includes like accounting, but also, let's say, like booking and everything like that. It was just too much for me to do, and also write the music.
Right.
It was just too much. And there was sort of like a heroism in doing that when I was playing like sort of punk rock and stuff like that, but then it just got too hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So at that point, did you find yourself a manager?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a manager named Brad Cook, who is a really good friend of mine. He only manages one other act, which I love.
Yeah.
Because I really can bend his ear all day long.
Yep.
And he can do the same with me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the organic progression, really, in most cases, is that people do it themselves forever until you get so much business that you actually need help.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way for young artists to think about it, because, I think there's a lot of young artists who want to put the cart before the horse and say, like, okay, well, we've got a bunch of songs, so now we're going to find a manager, and then we'll do something.
Yeah.
And I love it that you guys bought the tour van first. You had your priorities straight.
Well, we needed to get around.
But you knew you had to get around.
Yeah.
You weren't going to just sit in your bedroom and say, you guys come to us.
It was a different time, I think.
Yeah.
I would be hard pressed to articulate exactly how, other than, like we booked our own. Okay, this is when I was 18, 19 years old. We were booking our own tours. We were using a dialer.
Oh yeah.
There were no cell phones, so any of you guys know, like, I won't go into what a dialer was, but it was basically a way to not pay to make phone calls on a payphone. Right. It was very crude. So that's like the world that I came out of.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, I really grew up, for wherever I am right now, like I have a sort of DIY thing deep in my bones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there was a lot of pride in like building the thing ourselves without somebody there that wasn't intimately connected to the music.
Right. But eventually at some point you realize, something, to make the best music, I need to actually make music. Like that needs to be what I do as a job, as opposed to, being the person who operates the dialer. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, I mean, I got to a certain point where there just had to be somebody else, because I would have messed it up. It had gotten serious enough that that a mistake would have been bad.
Right.
It wouldn't have been funny, it would have been bad.
Right, and that's a good point, because that one of the things that managers bring to bands is some expertise and just knowledge of the business.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important for artists to understand that there is a business side to this.
Yeah.
This is not just, having fun with your friends and drinking beer, and it's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But, if you want to do it as a living, do it for a living and not also be a bartender or a waiter or whatever.
Right. I mean, it is a business. It's a small business, and so
you are your own.
Embrace that, or you. I've seen that particular idea really get people tangled up, actually.
Yeah.
And so maybe I've seen enough of that I've been very happy to have people help me.
MC Taylor, thanks for talking to me today here at Pickathon 2017.